ABC's senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega pressing the president.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus?
Because it comes from China.
Racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China.
皆さんこんにちは、ソロです。というわけで、今回は今から1年くらい前のアジア人人種差別やトランプ大統領のあの発言について有名なニュース番組からこの動画を持ってきました。当時のね、議員さんの話であったり、生の人種差別的な行動のね、動画等があるので、ぜひ見ていってください。そして、このチャンネルではこういったようなね、議論ができそうな興味深い内容のものであったり、思わずね、笑ってしまうような面白い動画等を翻訳して配信したりしています。そういったね、ような動画を見逃したくないよとか、このチャンネルで応援してくれるよって人は、今のうちにチャンネル登録お願いします。それでは早速行ってみよう。
As the coronavirus impacts communities around the globe, here at home, Asian Americans are facing more than just the fear of contracting the virus. They say that hurtful and misleading language from our nation's leaders are now making things worse. Our Kira Phillips first brought this up in a story last week, and she now has this follow-up.
As Asian Americans continue to share stories of violence and discrimination, messaging from some of our politicians not making it any easier. From the Secretary of State.
Before I address the efforts that we've been engaged in to push back against the Chinese virus.
To members of Congress.
The culture where people eat bats and snakes and dogs and things like that, these viruses are transmitted from the animal to the people, and that's why China has been the source of a lot of these viruses like SARS, like MERS, the swine flu.
To the President of the United States.
I'd like to begin by providing an update on what we are doing to minimize the impact of the Chinese virus on our nation's students.
These labels and titles continuing to trigger acts of hate across the country. Asian American outrage now trending on Twitter, reacting to the president's language.
Trump's comments, what it does is distance Asians from the rest of America and the rest of the world by targeting Asians and putting a face, a culture as someone or something to blame for this virus.
Sam Louie is one of those voices criticizing the president in his blog, saying by calling it the Chinese virus, he is perpetuating the fear, hatred, and in some cases, violence against Chinese and Asians worldwide.
I have to be extra careful that if I sneeze, because I know I'm Asian and more specifically Chinese, what are people going to think?
Asian lawmakers now united. New York Congresswoman Grace Meng concerned by the administration's messaging.
What do you want to hear from the president now that you have seen a spike in hate crimes towards your constituents and other Asian American communities?
I want him to call the virus by its proper name and not use racist tactics to divert from a lack of responsibility or a lack of responsiveness that we've seen from his administration.
California Congressman Ted Lieu in his op-ed for the Washington Post on Wednesday saying Trump's rhetoric adds fuel to the growing fire of hatred being misdirected at Asian Americans. The fact that he is the president of the United States who is responsible for the well-being of all Americans only makes his rhetoric even more disturbing. ABC's senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega pressing the president.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
About Chinese Americans
please, John.
Please. The aides behind you. Are you comfortable with this term?
I have great love for all of the people from our country. But as you know, China tried to say at one point, maybe they stopped now, that it was caused by American soldiers. That can't happen. It's not going to happen. Not as long as I'm president. It comes from China.
This isn't the first time a virus has been named after its place of origin, official or otherwise. West Nile virus from the Nile region, Zika from the Zika forest, And Spanish flu, named after an outbreak in Spain, despite its origins elsewhere. Coronavirus did stem from China. However, CDC director and member of the president's virus task force, Robert Redfield, broke with those GOP lawmakers during a congressional hearing, saying it was wrong to refer to COVID-19 as a Chinese coronavirus.
It is absolutely wrong and inappropriate to call this the Chinese coronavirus. I assume you would agree with that.
Yes.
The latest Hollywood star diagnosed with COVID-19 is Daniel Day Kim of Lost and Hawaii Five-0. The actor sharing the news via social media, detailing his journey with coronavirus on video in an effort to help others amid this pandemic, and called for prejudice against Asians to end. Lindsay?
All right, our thanks to Kira for that.
というわけでいかがだったでしょうか。トランプさんが言ってるシーンの裏には、中国側からね、ありえないような見解の反論のために中国のウイルスって正確な場所をつけていったのかっていうと、まあね、ちょっとは納得しますけど、アメリカにいるアジア系の人たちからしてみれば気が気ではないですよね。現にこれをね、皮切りに頭良くない人たちによる人種差別行動っていうのが増えてきていたので、大統領っていうね、立場ならばもうちょっと考えた発言はしてほしかったなとは思いますね。今ね、ちょっとずつコロナを収束してきてると思いますが、留学行く際とかは気をつけてください。そしてこの動画に関する感想やコメント等ぜひお待ちしております。というわけで今回の動画は以上なんですが、お知らせが1点あります。前に動画を投稿してだいぶ時間が経ってしまったんですけど、その期間中も面白い動画等を翻訳していました。なんですけど、全部著作権侵害で僕にね、収益が入らないっていうのは全然大丈夫なんですけど、ほぼね、全ての翻訳した動画がYouTube 上でブロックされてしまって、でその部分だけ見えないっていうのがね、発生してしまっていたので、上げれなくて、でだいぶ時間がね、空いてしまったって感じですね。もともとこういった面白い動画ってね、まあ大体著作権侵害で収益が入らないって感じになってるんですけど、もともとね、僕は面白い動画を翻訳して、収益がね、そのままその動画の本人に言っても大丈夫派だったんですけど、ブロックをされたらね、上げることもできないって感じになってしまってるので、面白い動画等を待ってくれてる人はもうちょっとだけお時間をください。というわけで、このチャンネルではこういったような議論ができそうな興味深い内容のものであったり、面白い動画をね、翻訳して配信したりしています。そういったような動画をね、見逃したくないよとか、現在ね、500人と小規模なんですけど、このチャンネルを応援してくれるよって人は、今のうちにチャンネル登録よろしくお願いします。というわけで、今回もありがとうございました。また次回の動画で会いましょう。バイ。